Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to Blu-Roy Movies. Welcome back to the weekly watches. And on a Sunday, the spiritual time of Blu-Roy's weekly watches. I don't seem to get many Sundays in at the moment. One thing and another, work, going away and stuff like that. It's been all different days, so it does feel nice to be at the right time. Anyway, this week I have watched 8 titles. Yeah, so not bad going really. It has been a bit warm. I don't mind it really. I know some people struggle with it, but I'd rather be too warm than too cold. I hate the winter. I hate wearing 53 layers of clothing, going out looking like the Michelin Man. Google that, younger viewers. Yeah, I'd much rather sit here in my t-shirt and me shorts provided by Larry. Thanks very much, mate. Yeah, I never wore shorts until recently, and Larry insisted that I needed some in this hot weather. So I got through some through the post from Amazon, but I'm sat here in my shorts. So cheers to that, mate. Anyway, enough of this. We're going off on a tangent, are we? Let's get on with the weekly watches. Right, we started off the week with a rewatch of Slow West from 2015, directed by John McClane, who managed to fit it in between saving the Nakatomi Towers and an airport. No, only joke, I don't think it's that John McClane. And this stars Michael Fassbender, Cody Smith-McPhee, Ben Mendelsohn, very good in this, Karen Prestorius, and yeah, good western. I quite like this. This is about Cody Smith McPhee's character, very Scottish sounding name that is. And yeah, he plays this young Scottish lad who, not really his girlfriend, but the girl is infatuated with, and her father suddenly leave Scotland on a whim. I'm not on a whim, something's happened that they've had to leave and gone out to the Old West. And Smith McPhee's character, who is smitten as you can be at that age, decides to head out west and try and find them. The West being a very, very dangerous place. Michael Fassbender, who he encounters, promises to get him to his target for a fee, of course, because not many people did anything for nothing in them days in the Old West. Smith McPhee reluctantly takes up his offer after he realises that he's in much danger and will probably die if he doesn't. What Smith McPhee doesn't realise that Fassbender does is that the girl and her father are outlaws wanted for murder, and there's a bounty on their head. And Fassbender, knowing this, is using Smith McPhee to try and lead him to him so he can collect the bounty. Yeah, good western. These main two had a lot of chemistry between them. They do eventually, after a few traverses and a few adventures, come across the people they're looking for, and there's a brilliant shootout at the end. A lot like a lot of westerns, a lot of the good westerns have a good shootout, but this one was a particularly good one. Yeah, so I quite enjoyed that, and if you like your westerns, pick it up. In my opinion, it's only quite short. I think it's only about yes, 84 minutes. In fact, so less than an hour and a half. And it does take its time, even with that short runtime. But I don't mind that. It was it was kind of drawn out, but in a good way. I like a slow burn film, and Slow West, a very apt title. Yeah, I'd recommend that. Next up was a viewing of Detox. Never seen this one before. I believe in the States it's called I See You. Yeah, this is from 2002, directed by Jim Gillespie, and what a great cast. Sylvester Stallone, obviously, Charles S. Dutton, really good character actor, Chris Christopherson, Jeffrey Wright, Robert Patrick, the T-1000, Tom Berenger, and yeah, all right, not a bad action film. It's about Stallone, and he's a cop, and he's been on the trail of a serial killer who's just managed to elude him and elude him and elude him. When he does finally track him down and he thinks he's killed him, it comes at the cost of his wife, who the serial killer uh, kills and mutilates and does all them disgusting things that these serial killers tend to do in these films to her. This sends Stallone over the edge into a spiral of booze and self-pity and, yeah, just generally going downhill. So, at the advice of his captain, Charles S. Dutton, he goes into this detox program, hence the title, in this real exposed place. I don't know whereabouts it is, in Nebraska or somewhere like that, but it's really, is Nebraska even cold? But it's icy, it's cold, a bit like the Thing set in that sort of place, where this detox program it's run and is solely for police that have fallen into drugs and alcohol and that sort of thing. So it's all coppers in there. So all like big characters, a lot of horn rutting between them, like trying to prevail as who to become and who will be the alpha male, as you could imagine. And it transpires. I mean, not spoilers, but so if you've played on watch, you maybe not watch. It transpires that he didn't actually kill the serial killer, and the serial killer was in this place in the wilderness, in this detox place, and was picking them off one by one. Yeah, it's good. Not as good as maybe I made it sound like it would. It's quite strange, as I felt that it didn't really know what genre it wanted to be. Was it an action film? Was it a crime film? Was it a slasher film? Uh, Obviously not as good as the Thing, but it had elements of the Thing with the wilderness, the setting, the paranoia, and nobody trusting anybody because anybody could have been the killer. And yeah, and spoiler alert, a lot these Americans, you racist gits. There's one English guy in the place, and the English guy was the killer. Why do you have to do it to us? We're nice fellas, the English Americans. We're not all killers and maniacs. Yeah, Detox. It was all right. It was a decent watch. I didn't mind it. I managed to rattle on for 3.5 minutes about it, so it couldn't have been that bad. Right, next up from 1 year later, I think, yeah, 2003, directed by the Coen brothers, and that's the bottom one in this set, Intolerable Cruelty. I've had problems saying that before, so I'm glad I've nailed it first time, because I'd have hated to have done like 48 tasks trying to say Intolerable Cruelty. But anyway, yes, this stars George Clooney, the lovely Catherine Zeta-Jones, Jeffrey Rush, Richard Jenkins, another brilliant character actor, Billy Bob Thornton. Yeah, so quite a stacked cast. And this is about George Clooney's character. I don't normally like George Clooney, but I quite liked him in this. George Clooney's character, he's this divorce lawyer who can basically, if you was to cheat on your wife with 3,000 women, George Clooney would find a way of getting the guy off scot-free with a settlement, so he gets to keep everything that he owns and doesn't have to share it with the ex-wife. Yeah, real clever bloke and quite a devious character in that respect. And he comes across Catherine Zeta-Jones's character. Now, her ambition in life is to marry a rich husband and divorce him and take his money. And the two have a connection with each other, which, them being polar opposites of interest in life, proves for some very interesting turns of events. Yeah, Clooney's falling for Catherine Zeta-Jones, but he is 1,000,000% aware that she is digging for his money, because this career that he's been down has led him very wealthy in life. So hilarity ensues from there. Yeah, really enjoyed it. Not the best Coen Brothers film I've ever seen. I think that still remains The Big Lebowski, and probably always will be. But yeah, decent. It was twisty and turny and went in directions sometimes you wouldn't expect, much as you'd expect from a Coen Brothers film. Yeah, good stuff. I quite enjoyed that one. Intolerable. Oh God, I messed it up at the end. Intolerable Cruelty. I'm not re-recording it. You're sticking with it now. And next up, HighRise from 2015, directed by Ben Wheatley. Apparently, a director. Apparently, from a novel. Struggling to read that. Where are you, Stuart? Uh, Acclaimed novel by J.G. Ballard. No, never heard of that. But anyway, yes, HighRise. Tom Hiddleston, Elizabeth Moss. I don't get on with Elizabeth Moss. Sienna Miller. She's very nice on the eye. Jeremy Irons, Luke Evans. Again, another good cast. Possibly Ben Wheatley's least enjoyable film I've watched. I've watched the one with the shootout in a warehouse. I'm blanking on it now. Free Fire. And a couple of others. I know I've watched a couple of others and quite enjoyed them. But this one I struggled with, to be honest. Very weird, very out there. Too weird for its own good in places. It's set in sort of, I think it's a dystopian kind of future. It's never really explained, where the people who live in this high-rise tower block, and it's almost like a city in itself. It's got a supermarket in, it's got a gym. So I'm not even sure if like the outside world exists and they're just these people left in this high rise, and it's a sort of allegory, if you want, for community and the way community is going forward. I know it's a bit highbrow for me, I think, but the poorer people, I say the poorer people live on the bottom floors, but they're still made up of people who got jobs in television and stuff like that. So they're not exactly really poor people. And as you go up and up, so the standings in life, you go up and up. A bit like, I suppose, Snowpiercer, when as you moved along the train, people got more and more affluent, and the lower floors, they have power cuts and stuff like that, while the people on the top, they are enjoying fine wine and fine food, whereas the people on the lower, they're like having to eat what they can get, really. Yeah, like I say, very weird. Not one I could see myself going back to, if I'm honest. Hiddleston was good. I'll give him that. And so was Luke Evans. Luke Evans is this character here who wanted to take on the establishment. Yeah, I think that's what it's about, really. Like, it's rising up against the establishment. Like I say, it might be a bit highbrow to me and thick as shit, me, you know. Regular viewers will probably work that out already. Yeah, HighRise. Next up, A Taste of Honey, and this was from 1961, directed by Tony Richardson, who directed one of my favourite films, The Entertainer. This stars Rita Tushingham, Murray Malvin, Dora Bryan. Now, this is from this, they're all going to fall out, Woodfall box set that I started working my way through earlier in the year. I've seen Look Back in Anger, The Entertainer, I'd seen that before. Like I say, that's one of my favourite films and set in one of my favourite places, Morecambe. Saturday night, Sunday morning, I'd watched and really enjoyed. And when I watch a box set, I'm a bit weird. I have to go through it in order. So I'd got to A Taste of Honey, and Sammy G, he's got the same box set, this Woodfall box set, and the only one he'd watched is A Taste of Honey, and he reviewed it and he wasn't struck on it. So it kind of, and I know this is daft, it kind of like stopped me in the tracks, Sam review, of watching the box set. So I thought, now come on, get on with it. So I stuck it on, and this is maybe now, apart from The Entertainer, my favourite of the box set so far. So, Sammy, you've stopped me in my tracks from enjoying this. I know it's a stupid reason, but there you go. It's what I'm like. Yeah, A Taste of Honey. What a good film this was. This is about Rita Tushingham's character, and this was her breakout role, and she's absolutely magnificent in it. She's this young schoolboy. I think she's just about schoolgirl. She's about to leave school, and she lives with her mother, played by Dora Bryan, who also very, very good in this. It's your typical English kitchen sink northern drama, all set around Salford, the Salford Quays that are now sparkling rebuilt areas, but in this they're very like deprived areas in the 60s, like very poor kids who struggling to live from hand to mouth. And yeah, Rita Tushingham's character lives with her mother Dora Bryan. They sort of like flipped from rented accommodation to rented accommodation. When she couldn't pay the rent at one place, they're out the back window trying to find another place. And the mother falls for this character, and it's played by Murray Melvin, and he's an absolute horrible guy who won't have anything to do with Tushingham's character, and makes the mother move in with him, but leaves the daughter behind. In the meantime, she's managed to get herself pregnant by a black sailor who was in and out of port, and then she befriends this young gay lad whose campers Christmas he was, and it's their friendship that develops between them and basically keeps her on an even keel now that she's left all her own, now that her mother's left her behind. Then the mother falls out with the boyfriend and wants back in the life. Yeah, really, really good kitchen sink drama. Like I say, maybe the one I've enjoyed out of the box set so far. And now I've got the urge to carry on with it. I'm really looking forward to The Loneliness of the Long Distance Runner, which again, I think that's directed by Richardson again. I've heard really good things about that one, so I'll get on that one next, I think. Yeah, A Taste of Honey. Really, really good stuff. Right, next up from 1971, Murphy's War, directed by Peter Yates. This is starring Peter O'Toole, who's really good in this. Philippe Noiret, he was in Cinema Paradiso last week. He's the projectionist in it. And I've really enjoyed these last two films with Philippe Noiret. So if anybody's got any more recommendations of more films he's been in, please let me know down below. Yeah, I'd really appreciate that. The lady Cyan Shan, I'm not sure how you pronounce Sian, I'm presuming Cyan Phillips, and yeah, really, really good war film. Not a war film you expect at that time, like the 70s. They're normally not about officer gentleman type characters, where Peter O'Toole's character is this really rough-speaking Irishman. I think one of his first line, he drops the F-bomb, which pleasantly surprised me. I quite like that side of his character. But this is about O'Toole's character. In the war, he's on a Navy ship just off the South American coast, and it's sunk by a German U-boat, and the sailors are all in the water, trying to survive. Where the U-boat comes back and just mercilessly guns them all down, absolutely slaughters them in the water, leaving O'Toole as the only survivor because he was hid on this steel girder thing and they didn't see him. And it's all about him then getting to this island and they're nursing him back to the health, and he's now living to get back at the Germans to blow up this U-boat that killed all his compatriots on the boat. Yeah, really good hard-edged war film that I really enjoyed, and good action adventure that, yeah, I could recommend to anybody because it was absolutely fantastic. Um, but maybe if you want to watch it, like, maybe don't watch any further this bit of the review, because one bit that I did enjoy is in between him managing to get his own back, the war ended. So officially it was a ceasefire. So he then went against protocol to go and get his own back on the Germans. And it left you with this moral dilemma. Is he right to go and kill the Germans because the war over? But I know what they did was heinous to the Americans, to the British. So yeah, it's sort of weighing up the yin and yang. Do two wrongs make a right, sort of thing. Yeah, very, very good, very enjoyable. One you don't have to think about too hard, luckily for me. Yeah, give that a watch. I recommend that. Murphy's War. Right, next up from 2009, Park Chan-wook's Thirst, starring Song Kang-ho, which is this guy here. If you've watched Korean films, you've seen this guy because he seems to be in most of the big Korean films. And Kim Ok-vin, who is this lady here. There you are, she's on top now. For all you deviants. Anyway, yes. Thirst, very, very good vampire film that I'd never seen before, and what you'd expect from Park Chan-wook, his usual excellent stuff. This is about Sang Kang-ho's character. He's a priest, and he takes involvement in an experiment to do and try and cure this like plague type thing where you get all boils on you and then your internal organs all explode, a bit like Ebola. I don't think it was Ebola, which involves getting blood transfusions. Now, he is the only guy that survives these medical experiments, which is a plus side, but on the downside, it turns him into a vampire. And yeah, vampires done South Korean style, I highly recommend because it's really, really entertainment. He hooks up with that lady who was married, and she kills the husband who she claims she is abusive to her. So she knocks him off so they can live a life together as Lord and Lady Vampire. Now, the guy, he wants to vampire through not killing anybody. He volunteers in a hospital as a priest, so when they're having blood transfusions, he's helping a bit to himself. But the woman, she's got a thirst for killing. Yeah, really, really good Korean film. Like most of these Korean films, the way Park Chan-wook, you can't go wrong. Twisty and turny. It's very graphic indeed. Violence and sexually, so for God's sake, don't watch it when the kids are around. Yeah, really, really good stuff. I really enjoyed it. One I can see myself going back to in the future. Park Chan-wook's Thirst. Right, properly on the opposite side of the scale is Man of Steel from 2013, directed by Zack Snyder. I tell you what, one accusation that can't be levelled at me is that I watch all the same sort of movies. It's certainly a mixture this week. Yeah, Man of Steel. Henry Cavill as Superman, Amy Adams, the lovely Amy Adams, Russell Crowe, Diane Lane, Michael Shannon, who's really good as Zod in this, Kevin Costner, Lawrence Fishburne. So yeah, really, really good cast. I think I've got everybody. I don't think I've missed it. Well, I have. There's obviously loads more, but those are the main guys. And I quite enjoy this one. Henry Cavill, good enough Superman. Maybe controversially, I might say Superman. It's quite an easy cast. I think as long as you're tall, dark, and handsome, so I'm available, and a little bit stoic, I think you could be Superman. I don't think you have to have too great a range to play Superman. Anyway, let's put it that way. Yeah, this really good origin story. I do like an origin. They're my favourite superhero films, is the origin story. I could watch them over and over again. Has it been done 3 times now, the Superman origin story? And it's a good story. It doesn't get old. Michael Shannon, like I say, brilliant Zod trying to track him down and kill him. Amy Adams as the Lois Lane in this one. Russell Crowe as his dad. Diane Lane as his mum. Kevin Costner as his Earth dad. Yeah, good stuff. Very CGI heavy. But these Superman films, superhero films, that's what they are in general now. You won't have the natural effects of the Christopher Reeves one. Times moved on, I'm afraid. Maybe not for the better. Practical sometimes looks better, in my opinion. Yeah, it's all right. I quite enjoyed it. It's just a Superman film. They just popcorn in it when you can't bother to think too hard. That's what you stick on. That's what you watch. It's not going to win any awards. It's not going to offend anybody. Man of Steel. So that was it for the week, guys. Feel free to comment down below what you think of what I've watched, if you've watched them, if you agree with my thoughts, if you're think I'm talking out my bum. It's all good stuff. Give us a thumbs up if you've liked what I've done here today. Maybe think about subscribing if you want to see more of this rubbish. And I'll catch you all later. Ta-ra.